Okay, so first things first here, I'm gonna show the bump because once I am down on the couch, I ain't getting back up. So, 33 weeks this week. Getting there for sure. Starting to feel it, when I move, I'm like, but I still feel like I'm, moderate size, not too much whale-like yet. So we'll see as the weeks go on. What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Jordan, and on this channel I am talking about my journey through pregnancy into motherhood, just things that I'm planning on doing, all that. We'll obviously continue to reevaluate and change things as we go, as this is going to be a new experience, new journey for me. So if you're about that, go ahead and follow along and see where we go. They say it takes a village, so welcome, be part of the village. So today I just want to talk about how I am planning to go from working full-time to being a stay-at-home mom. Now, if you would have asked me about this, a few years ago, I would have probably laughed at you because I would have never imagined or dreamed that I would even want to be a stay-at-home mom. So I thought I would be, that career working mom, which if you are that and you are not able to stay at home, that's amazing. I saw a thing on the internet that was like, being a stay-at-home mom essentially tests the patience and the brain, of the mom. But being a working mom is really hard on the heart. And so I totally believe that would be true, to be away from your kid that long. Although I don't have a kid yet, I just feel like that is exactly how it would be. Before I even found out I was pregnant, my mindset had kind of shifted to me telling Tim, if we ever have kids, I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom. The way the world is right now, and really God has laid it on my heart that that's where I should be. So I think that when you're called to do something, He's always going to provide and see you through it. So I just feel like this season is my time to learn to be a homemaker, to be the best support I can for my husband, whether it's making dinner, keeping the house, clean, raising our kid. I have very specific plans on how I would like to raise my kid and educate them, and hopefully those will work out and they'll become their best self, because that's all that I want. Just like any mom, I'm sure if you're watching this, you're like, yeah, girl, same. Proverbs 22:6 says, train a kid in the way they should go and they will not depart from it. And I think that has high value and is so true. You want to raise your kid and you want to build them up, and especially during those little young years, they're growing so much, learning so much, and I just feel like I want to be the one to train them, to raise them, to teach them, to be there for them, just so they will have a really strong foundation in life. That is the call on my life right now, and it is nerve-wracking considering I am the girl who has always been a career-driven woman. I've had a job since I was 15, and a lot of times I've either had 2 jobs or I was having a job and going to college full-time. So I really have kept myself busy in that way. Previously, I had a bad mindset when it came to money. I had that scarcity mindset, reading books and, growing my relationship with God. I have been able to let go and be more free of that. It is still very scary, especially since we are in 22. We are at like almost highs of inflation right now. It's a scary time, but that just means my faith needs to be stronger. God will provide. It talks about in the Bible, like He provides for the birds every day, and we are more valuable to Him than that. So we just got to remind ourselves about that. And it's very hard, I think, to come out and say, hey, I want to be a stay-at-home mom these days, just because It is not the norm anymore. My choice to becoming a stay-at-home mom obviously does not come without sacrifice. There are things that we've had to do financially to prepare for this to even become a reality. We live a pretty minimal lifestyle. We're not, bougie, buying all this stuff all the time. Like, that's just not who we are, and that's not really, we don't care to be that way because we don't necessarily see value in material things. So that's not much of a problem for us. If you have an excessive spending situation, you may need to reevaluate that, especially if you're thinking about going to be a stay-at-home mom, because going to one income in this day and age is not easy for anybody. My goal is just to provide extensive value to my family, to my child, to my husband in this season of life. The first thing that obviously you need to do when you're preparing financially for anything is to really have a look at your budget, see where you're spending money, because a lot of times you don't really know where you're spending money. You pay the bills and then you spend the extras, and you don't know how much extra you're actually buying until you actually look down and be like, oh my gosh, I've spent $100 at Quick Trip this month. That's a decent amount of money. The first thing is to see where you're spending your money and then plan out a budget. A budget is not a scary thing. A budget essentially just tells your money where it should be going. So once you have a budget and you know where your money needs to go, the first thing that we did is we started paying off debt. Luckily, we were already in this process before we found out we were pregnant. So at the beginning of 2021, we were like, okay, we need to really knock down this debt. We need to get it gone. A debtor is slave to the lender, and that is exactly how I felt. I had a minimum credit card payment of $200. So you can imagine the balance of that. And having a $200 credit card payment, that is just insane. We actually both got into real estate and we did pretty well. Real estate is just expensive if you're not consistently selling houses and clients, and I loved it, but just at the end when we found out we were pregnant, we couldn't afford to pay for the birth center and then pay for $2,000 worth of real estate fees, plus the monthly fees, plus the quarterly fees. It's a lot. So at the beginning of 2021, we both had 2 jobs. So that's an option, getting an extra source of income just until the baby comes to pay off some debt. That's an idea. So we were doing that. We were chucking away at debt, but it just wasn't getting to where we wanted it to be as quickly as we wanted it to be. I was watching a YouTube video one time, and I really wish I knew which video it was because I would link it, but I literally have no idea. But it said, you can nickel and dime yourself and save on little tiny things, buy the cheaper version of beans or, whatever. But that's not going to get you anywhere as quick. If you really want to speed up the process and you really want to make things go quicker, then you need to look at, number one, your housing, cheaper housing. If you are renting, maybe you can do with a cheaper apartment. Maybe it's not going to be as fancy or as nice, but maybe you can do with it financially. It just depends on your end goal. Where do you want to be? Also, if you have a house, if you have a big house and a big payment, can you afford to sell it and downsize? Are you okay if your kids share a room? Do you really need a guest bedroom? Do you really need an office? Those are ways to save money. Luckily, when we bought this house and we really bought a fairly cheap house, we wanted to be able to still pay our bills on one income if it had to be that way. So luckily we set ourselves up good for that. So the second thing is just look where you can cut expenses. Housing is a big one to cut expenses. The second thing is your car. Do you have 2 cars? Can you get rid of one and that be okay? Do you have 2 car payments? Sorry, my foot's asleep, so I gotta change positions here. Can you afford to live with just 1 car if you're staying at home? We only have 1 car, so that really wasn't an option for us. But what we did do is we downsize to a cheaper car. We looked at our finances in July and was like, where is our money going? So we previously had a truck. We looked at the truck. Between the payment, the insurance, and the gas we were spending monthly on that truck was $1,200. That is more than our mortgage. This was the month before we found out we were pregnant. We traded our car in. We actually even had negative equity in it, so we owed like $1,200, you know, more than what it traded in for. But that was worth it in the fact that now our current car is costing us like $500 a month between payment, insurance, and gas. So maybe you can cut down on your car expenses in that way. Trade in your car for a cheaper car. Next thing is just cancel any subscriptions that you don't use. We actually just reevaluated this. We did this, you know, a while back, but we reevaluated it this past month, and we realized that Tim had like 3 video subscriptions that we didn't even use, like HBO, Showtime. Like, we literally did not watch anything on that, and we're paying like $30 a month for these 3 video subscriptions for God knows how long. So really look into where your money is going, because those things sneak up. You sign up for it and you're like a free month, and then they start charging you and maybe you don't realize it. Another thing that we did to cut our monthly expenses, we paid off Tim's phone. Having his phone not paid off was adding like $50 to $60 a month for the bill. So the third thing that we've started doing that has really saved us a lot of money is food and meal plan. This may seem like a given, but I had never really done this until we actually went vegan in December. Because when we went vegan in December, I had to sit down, look at meals, plan out what we were needing, and make a weekly plan for what we would eat. And that has been the best thing. Plus, going vegan, we don't buy milk, we don't buy eggs, we don't buy chicken, we don't buy cheese. All that dairy and meat is expensive right now. When I first started shopping at Aldi in 2021, eggs were like 85, 89 cents. Eggs are now like $1.70. They went up almost a whole $1. And that's just at Aldi. It may be a given, but we make a weekly meal plan, we make a shopping list, and we really try not to stray from that list. We'll obviously be getting more strict at this as we're on one income, but this has really helped us save a lot of money. Also, eating out. We don't really eat out ever, since the options are very limited for vegan people. Plus, eating at home is just better for you overall in general. So the third thing, food and meal prep, you can save a lot of money. Also, look at where you're shopping. So we do not shop at Walmart anymore. When we were shopping at Walmart, we were spending $150 to $200 on just us. Like, that is crazy. Plus, when you go to Walmart, you're tempted to look at all the other things, and things just wind up in your cart, and you're like, oh, and then you get to the register and you're like, oh my gosh, what happened here? But we shop at Aldi because it's cheaper and it's good quality food. If there's any like vegan specific stuffs that we can't get there, we will go to Sprouts, which can be a little more expensive, but overall we spend probably $100 or so a week on food. And then number 4, so planning for things for baby. When you become pregnant, literally it's like your phone immediately knows that you text your husband that you're pregnant, and then you immediately get ads. You are a high marketing target, so you are going to get ad after ad after ad after ad on Facebook, on Instagram, on Google. Especially if you're a first time mom, they want to play on like you don't know what you actually are going to need, so you need it all. Not the case. Babies are pretty simple creatures, and they don't actually need a whole heck of a lot. They need a safe place to sleep, something to use the bathroom in, they need clothes, and then they just need your love and attention and care, and then also food. Pretty much everything that I have got has been gently used through Marketplace. I got my rocker. It's a rocker glider swivel thing. It's over here. I'll insert a picture. I got that from Marketplace. I got our changing table, and I made sure to get the dresser one so that it can be used for multiple years and not just like used when he's a baby and then get rid of it. So it can grow with him, and it can turn into a dresser when he's a teenager, essentially even. But we got that on Marketplace for like $25, and then we just painted it and, made it cute, and there you go. Plus, it's a memory that Tim and I have of preparing for baby, that quality time together, you know. And clothes. I went to Goodwill and they have a dollar bin, clothes. Some of it's new and most of it's gently used because babies get so many clothes at baby showers that they just can't wear them all by the time they grow out of it. So other things that we're doing obviously is the cloth diapering. So that's gonna save a lot of money. We won't have monthly expenses to go out and buy diapers. I don't know if you've been down the diaper aisle, but those things are not cheap. So if you're open to that, give that a consideration. And then also breastfeeding. I plan to exclusively breastfeed, so pray for me that it totally works out that way, because formula is also expensive. If we're not having to buy formula or diapers, that should cut out a lot of costs. And then the baby shower, something that we're doing that's not run of the mill, is really we're asking just for, if people want to give a gift, give a book or just a monetary donation just to go towards paying off our birth center so we don't have to put that on a credit card. Once our birth center is paid off, the other money that we get is going to go to birth supplies, to postpartum supplies, and then just a few extra things that we need for baby, like his bed. A big ticket item that we're not going to expect anyone to just buy on their own. So yeah, those are just tips regarding preparing for baby specifically. Just be open to options because you can really save money that way. So really, that is all I got for you. This is how we have started to prepare, going from 2 incomes to 1, and I will keep you posted on how that goes. I think that it will be fine. It'll work out. I also will, if needed, DoorDash, or I'm on the Instacart wait list because apparently there is too many Instacart shoppers in the area. So if you're in my area and you're an Instacart shopper and you don't actually shop on it, just let it go. I hope this gave you some ideas and maybe some thoughts about preparing for your journey to stay at home. I hope this helped, and I'll see you guys next week.